Leaving the military isn't just a career shift, it's a complete life transition. And for many veterans, entrepreneurship becomes the next battlefield of growth and purpose. Come on, let's start talking about transitions from the military to entrepreneurship. Welcome back to Transformation Station, where we're diving into one of the most powerful and challenging transitions, moving from military service into entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Adrienne Benton, and today we're talking about how veterans often bring discipline, resilience, and leadership into business. But at the same time, we also face unique hurdles when stepping into the civilian and entrepreneurial world. Well, listen, today I'm super excited because we have another amazing guest. His name is Austin. Let me tell you just a little bit about him. Austin, a former Naval Special Operations EOD team leader turned purpose driven founder, homesteader, and tech innovator. I'm so excited that today we get to meet Austin Holmes, president of Publicity for Good, CEO of Signal Raptor, and a man on a mission to build impactful solutions. Austin, welcome to Transformation Station.
Thank you. It's great to be here and excited to talk about leadership. And it's one of my favorite things. So,
Well, listen, we're gonna have a great time today. All right. So, Austin, in preparation for this episode, I was thinking to myself that in the military, all right, I'm also military affiliated. We are trained to follow structure. We're trained to follow the process, right? We're trained to follow the chain of command. Entrepreneurship often requires the opposite, embracing uncertainty, taking risks, and sometimes breaking rules. Okay, so help me out here. What were some of the biggest mindset shifts you had to make moving from a structured military environment to the often unpredictable world of business?
that is an excellent question. I'm not sure I ever started as a rule follower.
Okay.
We got to live in that world a lot more on the EOD side. But the mission doesn't come from up higher when you're an entrepreneur. You have to set your own mission. And that's a
Mhm.
process that takes time to figure out. Um, I had the advantage. I've met my wife while I was still in the military, transitioned out and started in the business of publicity for good with her. But
Mhm.
the setting of the mission became our task. And we
Mhm.
continue to update that mission because, the environment is always changing. And so setting that mission and then casting that vision to the team is always a challenge. And outside of that structure, you have to create structure.
Mhm.
So going from a very structured where you had every resource at your disposal to, hey, we got to find what we need, use what we got, and figure out a way.
Mhm.
That is a challenge of going from whether it's corporate or military background to the world of entrepreneurship is realizing that your resources are much more limited and
Mhm.
having to figure it out along the way.
So if I hear you correctly, it's almost like you're saying going from uniform standards to creating a flexibility that becomes like the new standard. Is that correct or?
Yeah, the creative part, absolutely. You have to constantly be searching for ideas. And
Mm,
you can just come up with those yourself. Sometimes that works, not always.
mhm,
The best place is coaching. And at least in my community, we had a good coaching program where we had
mhm,
career development and progression. And it becomes you having to do that for yourself. Um, but mentorship is one of the most valuable things that we've experienced on the entrepreneurial side.
mhm,
And I mean that was on the Navy side as well when we were learning. And there's so many people to learn from in both environments, but you have to go and seek that knowledge. It's not
mhm.
going to get handed to you in a class.
I love that. So here on Transformation Station, we always give our viewers and our listeners an opportunity to have a moment of reflection. And so for those of us who are listening right now, Austin, talk to us about moving from this structure environment into a different type of structure where now you have a little bit more creativity to set the standard, but the standard still applies. And Austin, I'm thinking too, like for myself, as I thought about this question, I thought about this, moving from following orders to creating the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Some veterans that I've talked to when they got out of the military, it was a mindset shift to now they're in charge, right? Now
Right.
they're the boss, right? So to move themselves from I'm walking into a situation, whether I like my superior or not, to I'm following orders, to now I have an opportunity to be the one that creates the vision. And sometimes that can be a mindset shift as well. Have you experienced that on your journey?
Absolutely. I think a key first step is observing what's going on.
Mm,
Because now I am in the position where it's on me to create the vision and then cast it.
mhm,
There's the simple side with business of, yeah, of course, we want to grow, we want to increase revenue, but what kind of culture do we want to develop? What kind of team do we want to have? Do we want to have a team at all? There's
mm,
definitely people that take that route.
mm,
But in my personal philosophy of it, I think being a part of the team is such a critical piece. Um, and the real goal is actually to take orders from your team,
mm,
and find out what they need to move forward, because you guys, and the supplies everywhere,
mhm,
working as a team, you're gonna get more done. It's just
mhm,
one of the laws of leadership.
mhm,
And creating that vision has to include your team.
mm,
That there can absolutely be team input, and their idea might be the idea that wins. We
mhm,
try and operate in the world of taking the best idea and then, okay, this is the idea. Let's build a plan around it and cast the vision of what we're going to accomplish by taking these actions.
mm. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this: from naval special operations to entrepreneurship, right? Your journey, it's been anything but ordinary. What lessons from your military experience have shaped how you lead in business today?
I think one of the most important lessons that I learned in the military, leadership wise, was you have to remain calm if you want to be effective as a leader. Um, One of our mentors now talks about the only emotion that belongs in business is celebration. And I think that's very true. Keeping emotion as much out of leadership, still caring, still being compassionate, recognizing what people want to accomplish and helping them get to their goals
Mhm,
enables us to move the business forward. Um, Another lesson that I learned in the military is one that I hated. I absolutely hated the structure behind it, but you need a framework to have people work off of. And
mm,
with some of the aspects, like the daily kind of briefing in the morning, I was like, why do we need to do this? Just do your job.
mhm,
And stepping into leadership, I realized how vital that is to communicate, to be in front of people every day, telling them and reminding them what the vision is.
mm,
And that's a part of that is you have to remind people. You have to say it over and over and over again. And I think
mm,
the military does a very good job of that. And I didn't recognize that while I was in. And even some of it was annoying to me. Like, why do I need to repeat myself? And that was
mm.
just, immaturity and ego. But it's really a critical part of leadership.
I love that. I love that. And so, again, to those who are listening and watching, I want you to ask yourself right now on the journey that you're on. Maybe you're in the military, maybe not. But as you have been moving forward in your journey, what are lessons that you have learned that shape how you are leading in business today? These are always important questions for us to ask ourselves because it also enlightens our path in terms of knowing where are the areas for us to continue to grow, to be enhanced, and where do we need to be able to just press forward in different ways. Okay, so Austin, let me ask you this. How did your military training shape your approach to leadership, risk taking, or resilience as an entrepreneur? And I'm really excited to hear this because earlier you told us that while you were in, you weren't necessarily the one to like follow all the rules, right? So how does your military training shape your approach to risk taking and resilience as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'll bring up the first one. It's out there everywhere. Jocko talks about it. Discipline. Discipline is critical as far as carrying that over. The other thing that I would bring up here is oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Can you ask the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how did your military training shape your approach to risk taking or resilience as an entrepreneur?
Okay. Yeah. So I'd start with discipline. That's talked about everywhere. Jocko talks about it from the risk taking side. We in EOD were not, even though everybody's like, oh, that's such a risky job. That wasn't our job. It wasn't to take risks. It was actually to mitigate every risk we could so that nobody died.
Mm,
And, carrying that over, you want to take risks. So you have to in order to move forward in business.
mm,
And those risks, you have to weigh them out ahead of time and you have to mitigate the downsides. That's a
mm,
critical piece. And, 80% of our job was, hey, how do we eliminate these risks and still
mm,
get the desired result? And I've
mm,
carried that mentality, that philosophy over to business of,
mm,
what's the main thing that we have to do, like prioritizing. And then,
mm,
okay, how do we eliminate the mistakes? Going back
mm,
to mentorship, this is one of the best ways to do it. Learn from other people's mistakes
mm,
and taking that knowledge, taking the knowledge of the mistakes you've made and try not to make those mistakes again. So
mm,
it's not about risk taking, it's about eliminating risk, really.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. So, it's almost like, if I hear you correctly, calculated risk versus reckless risk. You're not
Right.
just taking risk just to take it. Like there's some strategy to it. There's an end in sight. There's a goal that we're trying to accomplish in order to take it while we're taking this risk, right? I love that. I think also one of the things that I've seen is adaptability under pressure, right?
Hmm.
We're trained to be able to pivot when conditions change, right? And I think that's a valuable trait that many veterans have when they leave the military and then they're going now into business for themselves. It's not that things don't shake us, but we have learned how to pivot. We've learned how to adapt, right? Adapt and overcome. That's what they
Right.
say all the time. And I think that's really essential when we are in business. Okay. So, from your experience, for aspiring entrepreneurs who are listening right now, especially those with families or in demanding careers, Austin, what's your advice on starting something big without losing sight of what matters most?
Well, I think that's the reason you need to do it is finding what matters most to you. And it's different for everyone.
Mm,
Uh, and the culture that it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur, to be a high performer, it's different than what normal culture shares. And the military is closer to the high performance culture because
mm-hmm,
they have to be, because the risks are so high. And
mm-hmm,
so if you're not executing, doing your job in the military, bad things happen. Same thing
mm,
happens, but it's not nearly as severe in the world of business. And looking at that fear of moving forward, it's not eliminated, but it's offset by you keeping what is most important in mind. That's one of our biggest motivators is our kids. Most
mm,
important thing to us. But we do what we do every day in order to give them a better future.
mm,
And I think that's the baseline that you need to start with when you're looking at, hey, why am I doing this?
mm,
Is keep that in mind as your motivation, as the reinforcing principle. And so, people talk about work-life balance in this area. And I don't think there's balance. I think you have to find harmony between the pieces. Like, what are all of your goals? What are all the different areas that you want wealth in? Health, finances, family, relationships, all of the different areas that you want to be successful in. Taking all of those areas into account of what's most important. Okay, let's create the plan, eliminate the downsides. Like, this is a huge part of it as well. When you're looking at, okay, what's going to make the negative impact that we don't want is just as important as the result that we're trying to create. Because so many people build a successful career or build a successful business and their family life is destroyed as a part of it. And so you have to build harmony between all of the pieces of your life. You have to stay healthy. Like, that's another common thing that you see, guys going very, very hard and they fall out of shape. It is a balance. It's a holistic approach. It's finding harmony so that no single piece breaks, because when those individual pieces break, you have like that distracts you from your mission anyhow. So eliminating the bad things that are going to happen and focusing on the few priorities that are actually going to get you to your goal. And it takes a whole lot less time than people realize when you're looking at, okay, what time do I need to pour into my kids every day? Like, you can build and the consistency is more important. You can build a very good relationship with your kids in like 10, 15 minutes a day, depending on how old they are. But you can obviously spend more time than that. But that's the realistic. If you're intentional with that time, you can be healthy with spending 30 minutes in the gym every day. Like, you're actually probably going to be in great shape if you do the right things during that 30 minutes. So the consistency piece is more important here. It's, hey, am I doing this every day? Because the 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday isn't as good as 15 minutes every single day. It's just not. So
I love that. So Austin reminds us of a few things, right? He talks to us about consistency. If you're looking to start something really big, right? We're talking to our veterans, right? Those who are in leadership positions and you're looking at some transition that may take place. He talks to us about being consistent. That consistency is key. He also talked to us, and I'm going to frame it in my own words. We talked to us about getting clear on our values, being able to prioritize. Austin talked to us about the why. Like, why are you doing this? And it's really important to be able to answer that question. So, Austin, I want to ask you this, right? What were some unexpected challenges that you faced during your transition, and how did you overcome them?
the missing of the team aspect, the camaraderie that you get from being in that environment is incredible. And I know a lot of people do. And I didn't even feel it to its fullest extent because I was building another team. And I can only imagine the guys who are out doing a solo thing immediately following. But that still hit me, and I still miss it now, 6 years later. And it's a shared mission. And when you come back to it, you have to create that new mission. And you have to do it on both sides. You have to do it for your family or for you personally, if it's just you. And you have to do it in the professional realm. A third one that I would throw in there is the financial realm. Like, finances are a reality. Pay attention to them. And if you're guiding each one of those areas of your life to where you want to go, then you should be successful. And you have to do that in a principled way. You have to look at your values. And it took us way too long to do this intentionally. Like we had the mission early on, but it took us a long time to set the true values. Like, obviously we have our personal values that has always been there. But setting the values for the team beyond the mission of this is how we're going to do it, that took us way too long. And I think that's a critical step early on. Some of those values are going to change over time, though. When you sit down at your yearly planning or however often you do it, look at your values and intentionally evaluate, is this the principle that I want to live by? Like for instance, and this is debatable, I think you should be nice to people, but
Mhm.
being nice to people isn't necessarily a requirement.
Mhm.
And setting niceness as your priority might not be the best thing, or your principle, sorry.
Mhm.
Setting, hey, we're going to be kind to everybody. On some business models, that's probably the right way to go. Like on a more customer service level, that's probably the right way to go. But like results driven is really a principle of ours, highlighted by our core pillar of execution. And that's more important to clients. Like when we're looking at it from a principled approach, hey, we're putting clients first in our mission. What is something that we can live by and set as the expectation that's going to allow them to get what they want? Because that's why we're here as a business on the service agency side, is to provide value to clients, to make them happy. That principle of execution helps us reach that goal of putting clients first. And so when you're evaluating your principles, sit down, write out a list of everything that may be something that you can relate with, and then probably group them because half of them are the same thing. And then take, your top 5 or your top 10, whatever numbers seems right for you, and say, hey, this is the stuff I'm going to live by, and then live with it for a year and lean into it and say,
Mhm.
this is what I'm going to make decisions based on, is these first principles for
Mhm.
core values, pillars, whatever you call them. And gosh, I should know the Navy's ones. I think it's like honor, courage, commitment, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So those are the principles that guide a framework of decision making for the Navy.
Mhm.
We've now finally, after way too long, set our own principles, our own pillars as a framework to make decisions based on. And it actually makes life easier too.
Mhm.
When you're in those hard moments, you can say, oh, we just need to execute here. Or,
Mhm.
oh, we just need to be obsessed. Or, oh, we just need to focus on teamwork, because
Mhm.
together we can get it done, which is another of our
Mhm.
pillars.
Absolutely. Yes. So again, to those of us who are listening, right? Austin has talked to us about, I mean, it really is a fact that we are going to face unexpected challenges when we're transitioning, right? But Austin gave us some really serious gems on, one, understanding that you're transitioning, and two, being able to bring it back in alignment to with what you have already journeyed through being in the military, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. We can still find commonality in terms of what it is that we used to get through our military journey now in the civilian sector. So if we have somebody right now who you're listening, you're watching right now, and you're transitioning and you're saying, hey, how do I redefine this loss of camaraderie that I had from being in the military? How do I redefine this loss of structure, right? It's from Austin's perspective, it's not seeing it as a loss. It's how do I take what that structure that I learned, that camaraderie that I had, and now translate it into where I am now, right? Focusing on transferable skills, reframing your mission, serving still serving your community, serving your business, serving the same way, just in a different format or arena. So I want to ask you these last two questions. One, what advice would you give to other veterans who are considering entrepreneurship, but they're unsure where to start?
If you're just considering it, I would
Mm-hmm.
not do it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the easier place to start is to just start doing it. Um,
Mm-hmm. Start.
maintain your day job. Stop
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it. Try something.
Mm-hmm.
Most business ideas are awful.
Okay.
That
Mm-hmm.
that's the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
the other reality is even the awful ones are successful if you execute. So if you're not just doing it, then focus on what you are doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not so uncomfortable with where you're at that you want to make yourself more uncomfortable by doing something that is a monstrous task
Mm-hmm.
of building and running a business, then I would say don't. Because the rest is going to be a distraction. Now,
Mm,
if you go back to your principles and your mission and you say, I want something more than where I'm at, then
mhm,
entrepreneurship is an excellent path. But
mm,
it is one of the most uncomfortable things you will experience because it's the reverse of consistency. It is
mm,
constant pressure. You
mm,
don't get a weekend. You don't
mm,
get space in your head away from it. And it only gets worse over time.
mhm, mhm,
The progression in entrepreneurship isn't that it gets easier, it gets harder every single day, and you get better. So, if your goal is building something or creating value in the world or developing yourself to be the absolute best version that you could possibly be, entrepreneurship's right. But
mhm,
as far as practical first steps, like just again, do it. The paperwork holds up so many people. The logistics behind it holds up so many people. Sign up for a website, sign up for a payment provider, and start charging people money. Like
mhm.
that's it. Um, get get an LLC probably too, but you can do all three of those in like an hour. And so there's if you want to know more about that, chat GPT. But the the reality is executing for what you're actually providing value in is how you get started. All of the
Mm,
other stuff that's like administrative, like that's not starting a business. It's, do
mm,
I have somebody paying me money to do something for them or to give them a good or
mm,
service? Same
mhm,
thing. Until you're doing that, like you don't have a business, and you can do that before exiting whatever else you're doing. So
mhm,
start with the execution.
I love that. So I know that we have individuals who are looking at entrepreneurship who are listening. And so, as you hear Austin says, he says, go ahead and just get started, like lean in. So, I'm asking you to stop and think today. How can you take that idea? How can you take that calling? How can you take that drive that you have on the inside and begin to lean in? So, Austin, talk to us a little bit in terms of for a brand new startup or a small business. How does Signal Raptor simplify the process of getting media coverage or influencer support?
Yeah, we've been in the media space. Heather's my wife, and she's the publicist. I'm the operations guy. Imagine that. She's been doing this for 12 years. All of
Mhm,
those systems, process, procedure, tactics, relationships, we've now set a target to make PR more accessible. PR is kind of like lawyers. Like it's an expensive proposition because you're paying for somebody's time, relationships, and resources, um, experience. And we wanted to create a product that was much more accessible because the mom and pop on Main Street used to be able to go to their local paper and they'd get coverage and they'd reach the right people. The environment is so different now with media coverage and getting attention for your brand or business, whatever you're trying to build,
mhm,
that, we've been able to take all of that learning from building an agency, apply technology, apply a team behind it, and provide people a baseline of results, whether it's just being consistent, because if you're not doing anything, then it's not going to work.
mhm,
Or if somebody's just starting out, like being at a very accessible level to get started, to get the attention, because one of the main things that larger level media want to see is what you've already done in the media. And so there was this huge gap between people who could afford, who had the experience and had the resources to apply it, who had their systems set up, and like the people just starting out. So being an entrepreneur, we're passionate about that. And we want to help people get their message out there. There's so many good stories out there. That was a huge thing that we leaned into during COVID. We ran a site for a while called Good Side News, just to put positivity back out into the world. And there's so many stories out there. So many people do have a mission that's worth sharing. And they're not sharing it in the way that they could, or in some cases should. So we wanted to give them a platform for that.
I love that. So, for those who are listening and watching right now that want to reach out to you, they want to engage or tap into the resources that you provide, what's the best way to be able to do that?
Yeah. I am Austin Holmes. My first name is actually Alexander, but I go by Austin. Austin Holmes pretty much everywhere. And then you can check out our sites, Publicity for Good and Signal Raptor. Both have more information about those specific programs. And maybe one day you'll see me on TV. So.
Absolutely. So, Transformation Station community, we always want to support our guests. I want to invite you to reach out to Austin. You're going to see, you saw the link on the screen. You'll see his various links in the description there. Go ahead and reach out to him. Matter of fact, let him know that you saw this episode. Ask him some questions. See what resources he and Heather have and tap into that so that we can continue to grow as leaders. Austin, thank you so much. It has been wonderful to have you here as a guest today. Thank you for the value added to our community.
Thank you. And we have tons of free stuff. So if you guys are just looking to get started and need some more information, we have stacks. So check it out.
Nice. Hey, community, you heard that. We like free, right? So definitely reach out to Austin. Austin, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
See you.
All right. Well, there you go. Before we wrap it up today, I want to leave you with 2 thoughts to reflect on. Number 1, ask yourself, what's next? You're in the midst of a transition. Shift your focus forward. Number 2, remember to pause before you pivot. Growth only sticks when we take time to reflect on what we've learned before rushing in. Well, I'd love to hear from you. I want to know, how do you stay grounded in what matters while chasing your biggest goals? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss another one of these conversations. Until next time, keep moving forward on your journey of transformation.